Hey guys, random DJ here, here at home. Just decided to make a video that I did not plan to make today at all. Again, with the busy schedule, it's it's been pretty crazy lately. So I thought I'd make this video and kind of describe how I came to be, as I am right now. All right, so all this, of course, the backyard of my house, but better, I need to sit down. Yeah, we gotta sit down first. Talk about this. All right. Oh, one thing I want to say, thank you to my mom who gave me this awesome leather jacket. It's so nice. I'm getting compliments about this. Um, yeah, this is not gonna be easy. All right. So I don't know if you saw my last video. The last video had somewhat of a description of how I, overcame some problems and how I am right now. How it kind of brought me to staying alive because I didn't expect to be alive past 20. I didn't even expect to make it to 20 years old. And of course my birthday was last month, but despite of that, that's another thing. So okay, this is actually the story of how everything started happening up to now. All right, so the beginning of all this situation that was resolved, and I'm not, if she is watching this video, just know, like, you're already forgiven. So nothing, there's no hard problems or anything like that. So a lot of people don't know this, and a lot of people kind of do know this. Only the closest friends I have know more or less of everything that happened. But I was actually, I don't know, I don't know how to like describe it, like how I was a dad, but at the same time I wasn't before. I had to grow up at 16 years old. So I had this, this ex-girlfriend that was pregnant by her ex-boyfriend. And even though she found out, I found out at the time, this is like maybe 4 years ago, I think. See if I'm 20, up to 16, yeah, maybe around there. That's not the point, but the point is I had the choice to leave even like early in the relationship, way before she was like maybe 5 months pregnant, and I ended up staying for some reason. I have no idea why. I don't know, maybe it was like jealousy. I still don't know, but I don't like to think about it too much because it's in the past. But yeah, so after that, the baby was here, and of course my family didn't like it. We come from a somewhat of an old-fashioned type of family. Not old-fashioned, but like a kind of like a balance between old-fashioned and kind of having some freedom because they trust us. Yeah, so of course my family didn't like it. My friends, kind of a hard thing too. They tried talking me out of it, and of course I didn't listen. I'm still 16 years old. I don't know any better, and I think I know more than my friends and family, which I don't. And at this time, well, I was in I was still in high school, still in basketball, still like real young. And later on over the years, like maybe almost, I think the relationship was like maybe almost 2 years. So I ended up, I don't know, things just got worse over time. And it was just horrible. I mean, the only thing that I enjoyed mostly was not the relationship at all, but the being that father figure to that child. Because despite of what happened between how or what this ex of mine said about, no, you're her dad, and no, like that guy's not her dad, just despite of anything, that's not the point. The point is that's the first part of what caused me to suffer and blame myself. I hated myself like for the longest time because of that, and like every day I blame myself. And of course, being a Christian since I was a kid, because my grandparents are pastors, I have like if you have grandparents or if you have a family that is like super Christians or that are really like close to the Bible, close to God, you have that reputation you have to protect because they're the ones who started it. And you kind of have to protect it, because it's like you can't give a bad reputation to your family. And sometimes you feel like you have a lot of pressure. So that's how I felt as a kid. So that's kind of how I strayed away from my relationship, like towards God, and even sometimes towards my family. So I always felt alone, and even with my friends, I could tell them a lot of stuff, but no matter what, I'd always feel alone. There's always this void in my heart, like emptiness, and it was never satisfied. It was never fully, like, it was never filled. So after maybe like almost 2 years or a year and a half, I ended up leaving, and I had this huge decision to make. Should I stay with, continuing with this baby, even though I'm not her dad or nothing? I'm not with my ex, and that's when you start realizing some stuff. So of course I prayed, and I didn't know what else to do. Despite the fact of saying, okay, like I kind of shy away from having a relationship, but what else do you do when you're desperate? You pray, or most people do. I mean, unless you're an atheist, but that's another story. Uh, I asked for a sign in a dream. I didn't get one the first night. The second night I did, and I see it was so crazy. Like, it was real. It felt so real. I guess I have this dream where I'm in a room filled with just people lying on the floor, and I don't know if they were asleep or they were just dead, and for some reason they wake up, and there's maybe like one person that seems, normal, because everyone's just on the floor, and they just get up out of nowhere, and this one person's falling, or I don't know what he's doing. He's like being sucked into some hole. I'm not sure what that meant, but I try helping him up, and as I try helping him up, the other people just get up out of nowhere and like from the floor, and they have some have red eyes, some have just completely black eyes. Like it's like they're not even people. I don't know if it meant like for demons or anything, but I didn't know what to do. So of course I ran like a normal person would, because I couldn't even recognize the room or where I was at. And as I finally got away from them, like in the doors after they were chasing me, I end up opening a door and I'm in another dream or in another place. And I start like realizing, oh, like I'm still dreaming. But at this moment, it's a snake that I see. Like, I guess I'm in the backyard of my house and with my family there, and I just see this small little snake grow into like a huge, huge snake. And I guess everyone's running. And I didn't realize this at the time, but now that I've been praying more and reading more and of the Bible, everything, there's this there's this thing that the devil takes the form of a serpent, which means like a snake. So that was something kind of I still kind of think about sometimes here and then, but I try not to put my main focus on it. So, aside from that, I don't know how I ended up in another dream. I think the snake was about to, come after me, and I just closed my eyes, and I wake up and I'm in my bed, but I thought I was awake. I was like, okay, am I finally awake? And I get a little bit upset. I told you, like, I wanted to sign. Like, I just needed to help. I needed help with this answer. I needed your help with this answer. Why did this happen to me? So I find out I'm still in my dream, and I thought I was awake because everything, whatever I was wearing before I went to sleep, all my messed up clothes, I'm on the floor. Then I get on my bed, and for some reason, I'm still like saying this to God, like, why did this happen? And I see this bright light, and I have no ceiling in my room. So I was like, okay, I know I'm dreaming. And I have the ceiling in my room, and it's like some bright light, and it's not really a ceiling. It's actually like the sky, and the sky is just completely bright. And it was just crazy because I'm over here trying to fight. I was like, all right, like I'm trying to pinch myself or something. I'm like, wake up, wake up, wake up, because I don't want another bad nightmare or anything. And I have this like really not a forceful relaxation, but just this relaxation that it's like something that's like hugging me. But you just feel it. You can't see it. You don't know what's there. You just feel like this sense of peace. But at the same time, I was like it felt weird to me because I didn't have it. It's been like a while since I've had all this depression going on, all this hatred towards myself. So of course I'm gonna fight it at first, and I didn't know what it was, and I'm over here yelling. I was like, just like wake up, wake up, wake up, like trying to shout out loud in my dream, and I don't know, I'm just like looking up at the light, and it was a little bit too bright for me to see. So I'm just wondering, like, why is this happening? Like, why is this happening? And I don't know, my body just ends up getting relaxed, and I end up like laying down, and I'm just wondering why. Again, I'm telling you, please, just I asked for an answer, and for some reason, I don't know how to explain this, but I'm gonna try my best to explain this. It's like having thoughts. You're in a dream. That's already kind of like considered a thought, but having thoughts inside your thoughts, that's like another whole type of level. I don't know how, but that's the best way I can describe it, where I'm having thoughts of the baby inside my dream, which I'm actually asleep. So I'm kind of like going deeper into my mind, and not like another part of my mind deeper than that. So I'm having thoughts about that, like, all right, like what's best for me. And I had this, just like this real quick thought like that, to leave the baby. And you know, that's what's hard about it. I mean, she got attached to me, she called me dad. That's the hard part about it. But then I kept on telling myself why, and I kept praying. In the dream, I'm over here, you know, saying like, but why, and I don't know what to say. So then I just stayed quiet and closed my eyes inside the dream. I'm still dreaming, and I'm still closing my eyes in it, and I have this you know, this thought that like it's 100% sure, but it took me a while to accept it, that I couldn't stay with that child, because if I did, she would go through way more suffering than I would. So it's better for me to suffer now than to put like that child through that. Like, no matter what, if it hurts me or anything. So of course I did. So as soon as I woke up, texted back my ex-girlfriend, who was trying to, you know, resolve anything and trying to get back with me. And I don't know how it was going down, but yeah, I told her. I don't think she believed me at first. I mean, I didn't believe myself either. So that's just, you know, the first part, the beginning. The second part is where the depression really stuck. Like, you know, you would expect for me to feel a little bit better, in which I did, but then I started going my own way again. So I don't. I just started having, you know, just little thoughts, like just nightmares of myself. It's like real small, just here and then, nightmares of the baby crying, wanting me, and you know, I felt tempted to go back, but of course I didn't. And I started hating myself again. There's just like this influence that came on me, like just hating myself in the beginning. So instead of turning to God, which I should have since the beginning, all I did was meditate. And I didn't know at the time meditation was that bad. I've been warned back then by my grandparents, especially my grandma. She's like my grandpa, he's a real patient man, and that's good. And my grandma, well, she's patient, but not really the patient type, like to tell me in a nice way. You know how grandmas are, especially if you're like Hispanic, or you kind of get the point. And if you don't know how our grandparents are as like in our culture, they're the type, like they'll smack you, or some of them will, and then some of them, like my grandma, she won't smack me, but she'll tell me like, no, don't be doing that, or like, but like in Spanish. Yeah, that's just one thing. But yeah, I didn't realize also, every time like you meditate, that's kind of where you have to be careful. It's like a spirit, and that, you know, and they say empty your mind, and don't, you know, don't think about anything, just empty your mind. And it's kind of like a gateway for other spirits. You don't believe that? I mean, you can look it up. There's research. It's kind of crazy how some people don't believe in stuff like that. It distracts you from anything that's coming on in the future. So every time I meditate, of course, I did get a little bit stronger. I did get like a little bit of a sense of, you know, pleasure, not happiness, but pleasure. And that void still wasn't filled yet. So I started getting back into training again, like as a martial artist, since I was like a kid, you know, just being interested in all this stuff. And of course, all this stuff going on, I still have this thing with the baby in the back of my head, like still blaming myself. And it still did hurt, but who could I talk to? Not my family. I mean, I had so much pride, I didn't want to admit they were right in the beginning. I couldn't talk to my friends because even though I did, I just wanted them to distract me from what was really going on instead of resolving the issue. I got angry so much to the point where I was gonna end up like, I felt the need to hit something. And of course I don't know, it's just crazy when you built in everything. You build in so much emotion and stress, you end up becoming angry with not people but yourself, but you don't know how to deal with it. So you take it out on people. And that's what scared me the most. I scared myself. Like, I really scared myself more. I wasn't afraid of anything but myself. That's what was crazy because I didn't want to hurt anyone I loved or cared about. So, and I don't know, I guess I saw the world differently. I was like, that's not fair. Like, you have people, like, I guess the pain I felt, I just felt the need to cause it on other people. And I didn't like that. Like, it scared me so much, and I knew that wasn't me because that's not how I was raised. That's not how I am. So I don't know. I had this stupid, crazy idea of hurting people that I felt deserved it. So like going around and trying to hurt people anywhere I could see, like someone trying to, just steal or just I guess trying to like be an anti-hero. Yeah. So I was thinking I was doing good, but I wasn't. I was doing everything completely bad. Uh, I can't really go into too much detail about that, but I mean, it's not that it bothers me. Of course, it does bother me, but it doesn't bother me to the point where I'm gonna feel sorrow and pain over that because that pain's over. But let's just say everything I've done has caused me to have PTSD in the beginning. I don't have PTSD anymore, and that's the good thing about it. As throughout my suffering, that was I think 3 years it lasted, where I had just numerous nightmares. I couldn't even keep track or anything. Uh, Nightmares of blood that I had on my hands, and pain I caused myself, and all this stuff I was being haunted by. It's crazy because just the other day, I didn't know how to say this or to anyone. Maybe I just told one friend, but I mean, I look in the back and I see like, little memories of myself from 2 or 3 years ago, and I see my younger version of myself like 2 or 3 years ago, just real like I guess a big, strong, uh, little boy. I'm not gonna say man, because I'm starting to become a man now. How the way I am, I've matured. I've grown wiser. I know like to watch what I say. Uh, Back then I didn't care. No consequences, no nothing. I was reckless. And as I see like in just one day I'm coming back from work. This was maybe on Friday. And I see myself training and training and training and training like 6 hours a day. You know how crazy it is to my family doesn't believe in protein, taking anything like that. So, you'd have to be really messed up in the head to bulk up from like 160 to like 175 and in just the summer. I mean like not even 2 months. That's like maybe for me it was less than 2 months. I didn't even finish the summer and I bulked up like that. So I was like really messed up in the head. And I thought I was doing good. My mom had to even tell me to come inside the house because she thought I was gonna pass out. Sometimes I didn't even want to go inside if I was like throwing up outside. That's how messed up I was. So that's just the training. So can you just imagine like the pain I've caused? And after all that, when I finally let it go, I was supposed to go to the Navy because I had all this memories in my head where I found out my doctor ended up telling me to go to a psychiatrist. And I was supposed to go to the Navy. I wasn't even, this is all in high school, like my senior year. So before going to college, I wasn't even supposed to go to school. I wanted to go to the Navy because I was like, okay, I'm messed up in the head. I might as well just become a Navy SEAL. I mean, like nothing really matters anymore. It's my last resort. So I'm glad my family didn't let me go. And I wanted to go for a Navy SEAL, and which I was strictly determined to do it. The day before going to sign up for the job in San Antonio, my family, we had this big fight, this big argument. my parents are divorced, so it's kind of weird when my two parents coming together in the same house where I was born, which is my brother's house now, in the same room. That's kind of, that's out of love. Like, that's out of everything, doing literally everything to keep me here. So I saw that. Now I started realizing that. But it took a lot. And of course, me and my older brother almost got into a fight that night because of me just acting stupid and childish. So, I mean, out of everything, that same night, I had this, just, I'm not going to say exactly what it was, but I guess like a I had some type of stuff that I would wear, use, weapons, anything, and like to hurt those people. Because the only reason why I wanted to, I wasn't honest about it, but the only reason why I felt the need to do that was because I wanted to cause a suffering on people I thought were worse. But I was just as bad as those people. And at the time, I didn't realize it. But this is a good thing about it is after that night, my brother, we had a, it was burning just wood and just stuff that he didn't need. That night, I ended up burning it with him. All the stuff, like my old stuff. I was like, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it even around. I don't want it to think about it. So we burned it that night, and I feel like this just huge weight is lifted off my shoulders. And that's just the beginning, but, I did still have PTSD. And it wasn't until maybe, and that's what I'm telling you, this is all between the range of 3 years of having it. So before I turned 20, it was in August. This is, this past August, because I turned 20 last month in October. And this past August, so I had this friend that she doesn't go to church anymore. I'm not going to say names. She took me to this other church. And I love my church and my grandparents. I do. It's just sometimes you got to go where, I guess, where you're called, or, some things, I guess it's like a butterfly effect where you're just always changing things. So, God teaches you to like adapt. But let's just say one of the youth leaders, she's like a sister to me now. Not my friend that took me to that church, but the other one that was in the church already for the longest time, kept on inviting me. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, like I'm already getting annoyed, but I didn't want to be mean. So of course, she invited me one more time to Fort Worth, and I think that's it's around Dallas. So I was like, okay, fine. And I was hoping my bosses, which are my parents' friends, would tell me like, oh no, we need you to work. But they didn't, so I'm kind of glad for that. So they gave me, I think, like 3 days off. So I went to Fort Worth, and I met this man who has had sufferings too, and he's been a really great help. And so throughout the whole convention, it's a convention for Christians, so that was pretty good. Throughout those past months, everything was going my way, which was weird because, I mean, I have all this suffering like for the past 3 years, and I felt like I didn't have a soul. Like, I honestly felt like that. I had no emotion. I didn't want to even be around anyone. I could say that, yeah, I love you too, man, or love you too, mom, or anything like that, but I didn't feel it. And I just hated everything. I don't know why. Because I just turned myself into this guy who had no sympathy for anyone in the world. And I was just hiding it, like, between a smile, between my face, like, between everything. I don't know why. So nobody knew that. It was like a battle going on, like, with just myself. I didn't even want to pray to God. I almost became an atheist. So after all that, this man that I told you about, he ends up, I'm asking him questions throughout the whole ride. I didn't even realize, I think it was like 12 hours or maybe 8 or 9 hours. And throughout the whole ride, he's just telling me just information. I started thinking about this. It's like feeding your spirit just all this godly information, like from the Bible. That's just crazy. And I couldn't get enough of it. I guess because I was like spiritually starved. My spirit was just starved, and it had this craving every time he spoke to me, like, not because of him, but because of like the teachings from God and like from the Bible. It was like filling in that void. For once in my life, it was filling in that void. So there's just this one day throughout the whole convention, it was like the seconds of the last day of almost leaving. I finally told him everything, of course, what I'm telling you guys, like my whole situation. And he told me he could see the hatred in my eyes, like the pain. That's just for me describing it. That's because that was like years ago. But I didn't really heal until like, I met him. So he told me he had this thing that he's like, well, God told me to tell you. I thought these scriptures were for me, but they're not. They're for you. And I told him like, what do you mean for me? So I can't. I'm trying to like keep this a little bit shorter because I know I'm taking a lot of your time. So let's just say it's Romans 8 through. I think it was Romans 8 through 18. So I'll put that in the description below. I'll type it out so you guys could see it. And I'll put all the scriptures so you could see it, and how it kind of related to everything I was going through. How I was kind of paying attention to my own mind, and instead of trying to go like by God's way, and it kind of ties in with everything. So I'll put in the scriptures, that way you guys don't have to hear me say it, because I'm trying to get to the point. So after that, he asked me like, can I pray for you? And then he was in the driver's side, I was in the passenger side of his car. I was like, okay, like, yeah. And then as he was praying for me, well, it's like for once in my life I felt emotion. I didn't feel pain. I felt love. And I'm not talking about like just love as a brother, like from him. I'm talking about love that I couldn't even see from a person. Like, this wasn't just an ordinary type of love that you hear or see in like the movies or TVs any day. This is like love that has like no limitations, nothing. It's like someone's hugging you. It felt like that. Like as he was praying for me, it's like somebody hugging you, and somebody's just telling you, like, you just know it's gonna be all right when you don't even, you feel it's gonna be all right. You don't know how, but you just know. And I felt like I had a soul again. Like I had a sense of feeling and emotion for once in like the past 3 or 4 years, and it was just, I don't know, it was crazy. I don't know, I didn't plan on making this video. I don't really talk about this with people that much unless like they're really close to me, but my point is, there is a God, and there's only one God. So that's for another video, to talk about religion and why religion is bad, and why there's only one God, why there's only, through Jesus, there's only one way through him. That's probably another topic for another day, but this is just how I came to be the way I am now. The important thing is, throughout that same day, it literally changed me. Like, my life has not really been, it's never been as the way it used to be. In that moment, I can feel, or I don't have PTSD. So ever since then, not once have I had a nightmare. No blood on my hands, no nothing. So I think that's, what do they call it? Forgiveness. So I have no hatred towards anyone, not even myself anymore. So that's part of the message today, is forgiving and even loving the people that you claim to hate. So, I mean, I still practice, just maybe a little bit of shadow boxing, but not to fight with anyone. And maybe I'll just, work out and exercise with my friends to stay healthy. But I feel amazing, and I have like 2 awesome jobs that I go to. Even on Black Friday for Thanksgiving, I told my boss, like, I want to go in the morning. She's like, open up at 5. She's like, no, and open up at 4. Well, I woke up at 3:30. So, and I told my mom, I'm going to Black Friday already. Like, I'm going to go to work. She's like, but it's not even 5 yet. And I told her, I know, but I'm excited. I don't know why. I love helping out the customers. We love helping people with CBD. That's just one thing. But, and the adult daycare center, I mean, all my jobs are good. My friends are good. With this other church, I still, my grandparents, they understand everything. My grandparents are actually proud of me. They're not like those people who are like, no, you have to go to our church. So they know which path I'm taking, and they're proud of it. I'm just happy that I have this new group of friends too, this new family that's accepted me into their church. And I'm not talking about church is just one thing, but to actually grow with people like that spiritually is just amazing. So I just wanted to share that today. So if anything, focus on, it's kind of weird for me to say this. I've never said this before, but focus on God. It's hard to believe I was almost an atheist how many months? It's, what are we in? October, November. Yeah, like 4, maybe a little bit before that. So maybe 4 or 5 months. So yeah, that's all I have to say. And I feel good. And oh, and I gotta go to work right now because I'm on my second job. I just got on my first job. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. So if anything, share the video, really pay attention to it. And I know it sounds cringy when some people say read your Bible when you're parents, but listen to your parents and read your Bible. I'm serious. That's like a step of how to live life. I promise you. You know what? No, I challenge you. Read your Bible and you'll see. That's all I wanted to say. So if you like this video, share it, subscribe it, and thank you guys for all the support. I don't even want to say fans. I don't want to be glorified like that. Yeah, how do they say it? Glory to God? Yeah, so thank you for watching this video, and I love you guys.